guys?
Well, come on. Obviously, we're only a few days away from the trilogy fight against Leon Edwardsin here in London. So I guess what are the emotions now that fight camp is gone, is over with? All you got to do is focus on making weight and then fighting Leon Edwardsin again.
Damn, where's John Morgan?
Back in America.
No, it's a good feeling. I think I'm in a space to where, and I've said this the last couple of fights, I'm grateful to just be here. Grateful to, be at another fight, another event, and headlining another event. I'm just grateful. I'm blessed, and I'm extremely happy. Also because training camps are so damn hard. It's just like, when you make it to fight week, it's like, oh shit, thank God.
Before your fight with Leon, a lot of the conversation was all these records and everything, and you always kind of no-sold it. You said, that's not my focus. Has that changed at all? Like, is the focus on beating Leon? Is it getting the belt back? Or what is the focus this camp?
No, that was never my focus, which is why I feel a lot of people are saying, oh, well, the way you handled it this way or that way. And, I don't care. It was, I've been over 300 wrestling matches before, to where you might get beat this weekend, but guess what? You got another one next weekend. You got to be able to get yourself back up for that. And I've been doing that for a long, long time. So, the focus is the same as it always is each and every time. I go in there to dominate. I go in there to win. That has never changed. And with my preparation, I try to make sure that always happens.
Given how the last fight was playing out up until the end, how much did you have to, or if anything, do you have to change in camp or preparation or game plan, given you, like, a few minutes later, you most likely would have had your hand raised?
Well, for one, keep your damn hands up so you don't get kicked in the head. That's important. But it's been from the beginning of my career to where I am now. If you watch the way that I fight, and you've seen all of my performances, how much more do I need to change? I've been blessed with coaches that know how to get to me, that know how to just give me directions to where what I'm doing, what I've been doing is working. I go so hard in training camps and preparing for these fights to where I have that much of a gap on everybody just because of how much I prepare. So, this camp was basically correcting some, little mistakes that I made in the fight. That was the sole purpose of it. And, Saturday, once I go out there and I correct those mistakes, how's the loss happen?
Then also, given how the last fight was playing out, do you think fans outside of the UK, do you think they view Leon as the champion, or do they see like the 20-something minutes of that fight and then the one moment at the end, and they still consider you the better fighter between the two?
No, I can't say that he has the belt, so, by definition, he's called the champion. He's the champion. I don't know. That's for them to decide. I don't know how people view him. But between him and I, we know. We know. And so I can't really speak for everybody else, but he is the champion because he has that belt. But Saturday, I'm going to go take that off of him, and that's truly my focus. I mean, he landed a beautiful kick. It's beautiful. I mean, I watched the shit because obviously they show it a million times. That was the only damn highlight from him they could show in that fight, but they showed it a million times, and I'm just like, he's a beautiful kick. I mean, just the recoil and everything, I'm a fan of it.
So going off of that last one for me, we've all seen the video clip of immediately after you're backstage and you look at the camera and you say, congratulations, Rocky, see you soon. So did you have to mentally reset, or is it right back into like, I gotta prepare for Leon Edwards right away again?
I've just been trained that way. You can be in the first wrestling match in the national tournament and get pinned, but now you got 7 more or however many more coming back in order to be able to get on that awards podium. And so I'm just wired that way.
Kamaru?
As soon as we got to that hospital, I was just like, damn, okay, let's get ready for the next one. And so yeah, it was a beautiful technique, great win from him, but it's time for me to go in there and get violent.
Yeah, Kamaru, over here, right, buddy. Hi. Leon talks about the altitude and how it had an effect on him. Do you think your style, regardless your pressure, your wrestling, was going to drown him anyway?
I mean, the thing with that is, it's funny. You are an athlete, you're an elite athlete who your job is to prepare for a competition. Now you prepare for that competition. Did Leon not know that he was going to be fighting at altitude? He did. And he prepared. He was there 2 weeks or so before, and that still happened. Now the one thing that you guys have to really account for is, I know you guys hear a lot of those excuses from him. That wasn't the first time Leon and I had fought. And that first fight looked a lot like that second fight. So if he wants to believe that it was the altitude, then it is what it is. He can believe that. But nothing changes for me. Altitude or no altitude, I know what I come to do.
And he seems to think that the knockout's going to have an effect on you mentally. Did you hear his comments on that? What are your thoughts?
Leon hasn't wrestled in over 300 wrestling matches like I have. Leon hasn't competed as many times as I have. You know, when you get pinned, and I've been in a situation to where I've lost the first match, wrestling match of the day. Now you're in the consolation bracket and you just it's a dogfight to try to get back up on that podium. And I've been on that podium a lot of times. And so it's, to that statement, I would say is, it's warranted when you're speaking about ordinary things and ordinary people. So people think, oh yeah, that's so typical. When something like that, a trauma happens, you know, most people are gonna gonna be disturbed about it. Yeah, that's when you're speaking about ordinary people, but Leon Edwards and I both know that I am not ordinary, I am extraordinary.
And there's a lot of debate on pound for pound. You once held that #1 spot. Do you think reclaiming your welterweight title, you should be #1 again?
I don't care, you know, that I never really cared. That pound for pound was just a conversation piece. I never really said, unless, you know, obviously I had to do promo stuff and say pound for pound. But I don't walk around my house telling my daughter, I'm pound for pound champ, go to your room. You know, I never really cared. You know, it's a conversation piece. So I don't really put much into that, but that's a hard conversation to have when John Jones is in the picture and he's the heavyweight champion now.
One last one. You've achieved a lot, defended your title multiple times, future Hall of Famer. So what's your motivation at this point in your career?
That's a good question because it changes. You know, when you start to just defend and defend and defend, it does kind of get lackadaisical. It just kind of gets repetitive. But this one is like, immediately I found it on the ride to that hospital after 278. It's with Floyd Mayweather, when he's so, you know, undefeated, unbeatable, people, it's almost boring to watch him. People are just like, he's gonna win every time, that's boring. Oh, so, you know, the only reason people are watching is because they want to see someone's able to beat him. And so I just found, I got presented with an opportunity to be able to fall as a champion and rise again. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is I'm raising a daughter who, if gymnastics gets hard, I can hear her in the room telling her mom, it's hard, I don't want to go, you know. And so I'm presented now with an opportunity to let her know that, you know, you can stumble, you can fall, but, you know, you got to get back up and get on that horse and keep going.
Kamaru, down here to your left. You're entering enemy territory to try and reclaim the welterweight title.
Am I?
I know there's a big Nigerian
This is London, they love me here. And it's half Nigeria. I'm home.
Well, are you relishing silencing those fans that will be booing you on Saturday night?
Boos or cheers, doesn't matter. I don't pay attention to the crowd. I never really did. I never really did. I don't pay attention to the crowd. I mean, they get a little loud because and it makes it hard to hear the coaches, but I never pay attention to the crowd. I've been booed before. I fought in Florida. Even though I'm a resident of Florida, I got booed when I fought Jorge Masvidal. But, you know, it's one thing about that. I was feeling violent and I wanted to do some violent things. And I did do that. And I'm feeling that way this weekend.
And you touched on the Nigerian population in the UK. Are you expecting to see the green and white flags dotted throughout?
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know what I expect. I just expect a bunch of rowdy fans having the time of their life because we're bringing the biggest, arguably the biggest fight that the UK's ever seen.
And a bit off topic here, I don't know if you saw this, but this question is very pertinent because you were the first African UFC champion. Did you see did you hear Dricus du Plessis, this is a difficult name to pronounce, his comments about being the African fighter in the UFC?
Oh, I actually saw that. I think it's this week or last week. One of my former teammates sent it to me. They're trying to be messy, of course. I saw it, and the thing about me is just I try not to be quick to jump on someone and really kill them for those things. You know, I'm not part of this cancel culture, but though I understand what he's trying to say. But the one thing that I think he's failing to realize is, you know, just because I go to China and my parents are in China and I'm raised in China, that doesn't make me more Chinese than people from China. That doesn't make me more Chinese. And so just because you went over to South Africa and you were raised there, that doesn't make you African. So, you know, I would say to him, it's just, you know, try to be a little bit more careful with what you say and how you say it, because, you know, that's the thing nowadays is these younger guys and these newer guys that get up here and they just talk. They just, you know, because they want to appeal to the fans, appeal to the people. But try to be more mindful, because 20 years from now, that's not going to age well.
And I know you said you like to take stock of things and you don't jump on them straight away, but what was your initial reaction after hearing that? Because it's quite jarring.
It was funny because I've actually trained with the guy. So it's like, bruh, you know how I get down. You know, if it's one of those type of situations, you know how I get down. But, you know, it was it's nothing like that. It's after, you know, that first immediate, like, hey, are you serious? Because it sounded personal. Well, because he took direct shots. You know, he mentioned, you know, myself and Israel Adesanya, I believe. And it was like, bro, I actually kind of know you. And so, you know, I think it was just, you know, heat of the moment. He got up there, he's excited, he just got a big win, and he was just running off. But at the end of the day, you know, the wiser side of me is like, okay, I understand what he was trying to say, but bro, that doesn't make you more African.
Thank you.
Leon, you could have probably picked where this fight took place, right? You know, the UFC wanted this rematch, it's a big fight, but they came to you and you accepted doing it in London. I'm curious, why would you want to do that? You say you don't listen to the fans, but there's got to be something about coming out here and beating Leon in his home country that is appealing to you.
Well, that is appealing, but I wanted to come to, I've probably stopped at the Heathrow airport maybe 12 times. I've never been inside of London, really. And so it's, you know, I want everybody knows London. London's kind of like a stop in the, you know, epicenter of the world. It's somewhere, you know, and I've always kind of wanted to go there. And so this was just like, it's one of those moments, you know, I got to a position to where I kind of did everything there was to do, you know, headline Vegas, I did that. Headline MSG, I did that. It's like, what's bigger, what's next? Oh shit, get the opportunity to go to London and headline at the O2 Arena, why not? I called Dana that night, I said, Dana, let's go to London. Let's go to London. And if this was this summer, we'd be at, what is it, Sheffield or what's the other one? Wembley. We'd be in one of them stadiums. Yeah, okay, not there. All right.
And you've seen I'm assuming you've seen some of the events they've had at the O2 with the fans and how crazy they get. Is that just something you wanted on your career bucket list? Like, hey, I got to perform in front of some rabid fans.
I love it. I think I don't really, you know, when you're living in a life, it's kind of hard to comprehend and understand some of the things that you're accomplishing or that you're seeing and how big or how great they are. This just kind of feels normal to me, but one day I'm gonna sit back and be like, damn, MSG, I headline MSG, I headline O2 Arena in London. You know, it's just kind of one of those things to where I'm trying to be mindful of knowing that, you know, this is life, time's gonna pass by, and you're gonna look back and some of the amazing things that you were able to witness and be a part of. So this was just kind of one of those.
And last one for me, before your loss to Leon, you made it clear that, you know, you've done a lot at welterweight and you're sort of looking at some more loftier career goals. You mentioned 205 and stuff like that. Has this sort of setback put you to like, okay, I'm good at welterweight, or are you going to just resume exactly where you left off just as soon as you correct this mistake?
That's a good question. It's, you know, when you start to just beat up everybody and you've done it once and you're doing it twice again, it kind of gets a little boring. You know, at that point, I was still feeling good and wanting to just challenge myself. That's why I wanted to do something as crazy as pulling Canelo into the boxing ring. You know, you just want to challenge yourself with other things. You know, no disrespect to the welterweights. It was just like when you have such a gap on everyone, it's just like you want to, and it's just a short period of time. Our fighting career is a short window. So I want to be able to test myself in every way possible to just be like, I really pushed the envelope. But, you know, now we're faced with adversity and a setback, so that's my focus now. You know, Leon's made himself very visible to me. So it's like, all right, let's go ahead and deal with this adversity first before we can ever think of something else.
Kamaru, just over here. How does it feel this week being the challenger this time?
It feels like a normal fight week. You know, it's, I have to come here and do all this media. You know, I like you guys, but, you know, I got to come wait. So, you know, I got to come here and do all this media. Everything is the same. You know, it's the same, and I as much as it's exhausting, I love it because it's all part of the journey. And, you know, just speaking with my mentors and all the guys that have done this before, it's, you know, I'm gonna miss this one day once it's gone. I'm gonna miss coming in here and talking to all of you guys and have you guys ask me questions. So it's been normal. It's been the same. My mindset is the same. I went through a hellacious training camp. I mean, you train alongside guys like Justin Gaethje. It's not easy. And so I went through a hellacious training camp to prepare for this fight, and, you know, I'm just blessed with the opportunity to be able to go out there and perform for you guys.
Is the pressure different? I mean, do you feel more pressure, or is it more of a weight off your shoulder not having those high expectations?
Truthfully, it's a little different. It's not as much. Like, you know, the pressure is going to be on him. It's a lot of pressure, whether you believe it or not, to have to defend. Each and every time defend, because that lifestyle changes drastically when you're not the champion anymore. It does. And so, excuse me, it changes. Like I wanted to, like I've said before, I wanted to silence some of that noise. When you're the champion and you're just unbeatable and you're beating everybody, it's you kind of start to get this aura of invincibility. And everybody wants to be around that. Everyone wants to just feel it. Everybody wants to taste it. And so it brings on a lot of noise and a lot of energy that just starts to drain you and wear you out. And so after that last fight, it just kind of calmed down. It quieted down. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, you've been quiet, relatively quiet. Just like I was before I became the champion. You know, it's not necessarily I've been quiet. I've just been working. When I wasn't the champion, I wasn't getting calls, hey, fly here to this event. Hey, you got to do this interview. You got to do that. You know, so I was just enjoying and cherishing, you know, that opportunity again to just grind.
And moments ago, we spoke to Leon Edwardsin. He believes that you're on your way out and that he will open the door for you on Saturday. What's your reaction to those comments?
Oh, he's going to open the door for me because I'm the king. He opened the door for me to walk through, and I'm going to tell him, all right. And I'm going to tell him, all right, you can come in now. You know, no, I mean, the funny thing about that is I almost feel like he's forgetting what happened 24 minutes in the last fight. Don't you guys feel that? Yeah, of course, it was a beautiful technique and you landed it, which I'm a fan of. I'm like, damn, that was beautiful. Give him props for it, but you're forgetting what happened. What did you display in those two fights that leads you to believe you're a better mixed martial artist than me? I am on my way out. I don't want to get punched in the face forever. That is very, very true. You know, I'm not trying to do this for another 10 years. Absolutely not. In that sense, yeah, I am on my way out, but I'll leave when I'm good, well, and ready. Until then, like the Wolf of Wall Street, you know what he said. I'm not going nowhere.
Kamaru, down on your left. Is it true that your knee pain is so bad that it's sore to walk on concrete?
My knee pain has been bad for 10 years. You know, I've had you know, multiple meniscus surgery, and this is just wrestling. I was so hard on my body wrestling because I wanted to be the champion. I wanted to get there to where I'm willing to sacrifice. I would sacrifice whatever it took to get there, and I did get there. But my knee pain's been bad since I crossed over to MMA, but it hasn't stopped me. I'm still whooping dudes' ass.
Is it? I know you've been training a lot with a brace. Do you plan to wear a brace for the fight or not?
No, I never will. I just train with it. That don't mean I'm a, like, that's the thing, knee pain sucks. Like, I'm sure everybody in here has something that hurts. You get up, your back might be a little sore. Of course, it's sore. I train with it. I don't mean, when I get in there, do you see anything that looks like it hurts on me when I'm in there fighting? No. I fought Colby Covington the second time with a hole in my hand. Nothing. I fought Jorge Masvidal with my hand. I didn't throw my right hand for almost 3 weeks. Nothing. It doesn't matter. Once we get in there, I'm going to throw everything that's in the kitchen, the bathroom, at this guy. It doesn't matter.
Kamaru, over here, to your left. You joked earlier about the way that you interact with your daughter. I'm just wondering though, after the defeat and the nature of that defeat, did you speak to her much about it? Because, you know, you said you've experienced failure in the past in wrestling, but for her it must be a very new thing to see you lose.
Yeah, I spoke to her. I think that was the only thing that kind of, you know, like immediately after it happened, I didn't necessarily see her. And she went back to my house in Utah and passed out because it was late. So I came over, she slept, she was in my bed, and we slept and we woke up, and I just had a conversation with her and just told her, yeah, you know, sometimes you lose, sometimes you win. You know, most of the time we win, but sometimes you lose and you gotta get back up, train hard, and get back up there again. So that was that, and that's the beautiful thing about kids is no matter how much we put on what we do and how big I get and how famous and how unbeatable I get, kids will, to you, you're just a person, I'm just dad to her. Kids will always remind you of that. And, you know, I saw that when it initially happened, she was upset. But the next day, she just wanted to play. It was like she didn't really give a shit that it happened. She just wanted to play. And that's the one thing, the wonderful thing about it is, at the end of the day, this is just this is a competition. And, you know, I'm still dad to her.
Thank you. Kamaru, just down here to your left.
Yeah.
Just in terms of your previous opponents, I know you said that the 24 minutes in the previous fight with Leon and the first fight as well. Where does Leon actually rank amongst your opponents?
I mean, I fought Colby Covington and I fought Leon Edwards. You guys all watched the fights. I fought Colby twice and I fought Leon twice. You guys all watched the fights. Who do you think is better? You know, so Leon's tough. I give him that, and he was able to land that beautiful kick. I'll give him that, but there's nothing that, I mean, as much as he's building himself up with the new confidence or whatnot, at the end of the day, it's just gonna be you and me locked in there. And you and I have been locked in there for two different fights now. And what have you shown me or shown yourself to believe that you are a better fighter?
And then final one from me, you said you feel violent going into this one. Just how violent do you feel, and what does that entail?
I felt violent going into 3 fights. I felt violent going into the Sergio Moraes fight because I kept asking for a top 15, and I felt disrespected that the UFC matchmakers kept giving me guys like that weren't in the top 15. I felt very, very violent and resentful, and I wanted to show that. And we saw what happened. I fought Colby Covington the first time. We all know how that buildup was, what he said, what he done all around the world. I felt very violent, and I wanted to get violent. Me and Colby were best wrestlers, you know, arguably in the company, and we didn't wrestle at all because I felt violent. I wanted to get violent, and we saw how that fight went. And I fought Jorge Masvidal the second time. You know, with all that happened, we both you know, you guys are failing to understand, we both flew across the world. And I was the only one who I trained for a completely different guy. He caught COVID. And I don't even want to disclose what the injuries that I was going through before that fight. Flew across the world. I actually had to quarantine in Vegas. Didn't sleep. I literally, in 4 days, that fight, I was there, quarantined, cut weight, and I fought. Didn't sleep at all. And I fought in the morning. And I dominated him. And then after that fight, it's when you got all the excuses. Oh, it'd be different, you give me a full camp and this and that. And it upset me to where I felt violent in that second fight. And we all saw what happened. And not to mention, it was in enemy territory in Jacksonville. I was booed. Didn't change anything. And in this fight, I'm starting to get that feeling. You know, some fights you want to be clean and get out of there and not feel anything. This fight, I want to feel it all.
Kamaru, how much of this is about just getting the win and getting the belt back, or how much is this about making a statement on Saturday?
I don't care about getting the. I've said that I've never been attached to the belt. The only reason that's important is because you're called a champion when you have the belt, you know. But it's never really been about the belt. It's about dominating the guys and really that's what I'm addicted to is breaking a guy, dominating him and breaking his will. It's like I'm a soul collector, you know. It's almost like Thanos. I'm just sitting there collecting souls and that's almost what he feels. But this time, like I said, I'm feeling real violent, you know. It's just something that I admire about Justin, you know, my teammate, is I don't care how technical you want it to be, but if this dude wants to get violent, he's going to go out there and get violent. And this weekend, I'm feeling real violent.
You referenced that you've obviously been in the cage twice with Leon, and you said that for the most part it played out similarly. How much growth have you seen in Leon from the first fight to the second fight, and what do you expect from him third time around in terms of his progression?
No, he's grown. If you do the same thing over and over and over every day, at some point you're going to get good at it. You know, he's grown a lot. I mean, he can strike. His striking is good, clean. Like I said, that technique is beautiful. That kick, the shot, the recoil, it was beautiful. You know, I love it, and I can see that as he's grown a lot. But you know, at the same time, yeah, you've grown a lot. So have I. I'm just a bit better.
And is it just the case of closing that loophole, closing that opening that led to the KO in the first fight, or have you got new tools in the belt ready to bring out on Saturday that we haven't maybe seen before?
I mean, had I just kept my damn hands up, are we having this conversation? We're not. So I think it's a matter of just correcting those small mistakes. We've fought several times, me and him, and well, a couple of times, and you know, the skill for skill, it shows who's the better mixed martial artist.
Thank you.
Kamaru, we haven't really heard from you since Francis left the company, and obviously you and Israel and him were all linked together very closely. We spoke with Israel in Perth, and he's pretty confident that Francis will eventually make his way back to the UFC. But what was your reaction to everything that went down between Francis and the UFC?
It's tough because you know, of course, those are my brothers, and I want to, you know, we want to continue this journey and this ride, as you guys call it, the Three Kings. Of course, we want to continue that, but it's just one thing about this is life. You know, things change, things evolve, things, you know, things turn over. You know, what we were doing last year is not what we're doing this year, for the most part. I mean, some of you guys, it's your job. But it's what we've done is forever. If you think about it, 200-300 years from now, this company's still going, and everyone's like, "Oh, we're the first African mixed martial arts UFC champion." You know, that's never going to change. And so, yeah, things, you know, this is life. You know, people move on, people change, and Francis is looking for, you know, bigger and different things. So, you know, we have to respect that. You know, he is his own man, and that is my brother, and I respect his decisions to do whatever makes him happy.
What did you make of John Jones' return and his performance against Cyril Gane?
It was, I mean, as perfect as it could be. What everybody was sitting at home like, that just happened. You know, it was as perfect as it could be. That just goes to show the greatness of John Jones and how great he is and how well he's able to come in and compete.
Kamaru, how important is it for AKO and the infrastructure you're building in Nigeria to hold a UFC event hopefully in the future? How important is it for you to go out there and win the belt again so Africa has a UFC champion again?
I mean, it's important. I think, you know, like I said, because having that belt, you know, gives you the title of the champion. But I mean, whether I have the belt or not, you know, headlining an event in Nigeria, in Africa, the first one in Africa, who wouldn't watch that? You know, it's still going to be massive. So, you know, AKO is us really building that infrastructure and really showing the UFC or these other promotions that, hey, you can come here and do an event here. And there is a want and a thirst for, you know, mixed martial arts at its highest level. And so, Dana, if you're watching, hey, let's make something happen.
And in terms of what you said earlier about quietening the noise of being a champion, that sounded a little bit similar to what Rose, one of your teammates, went through when she lost the belt and then won it back. Did you ever speak to her about that quietening the noise and the furore around being a champion and dealing with that mentally at all?
No, we didn't exactly speak about it, but you know, I know as much as I know Rose, I know that, you know, what her psyche was as far as, at least have an idea of what her psyche was as far as dealing with all of that. You know, it's just silencing that noise. It's just, you know, when you're a champion and you're doing the things that I was doing as far as defending and you know, movies and interviews and events and all of these things, it just kind of, it's a lot of noise all the time, everywhere. So this time it's a little bit more refreshing for me not having to answer my phone, you know, not answering that phone. And just, it was refreshing to just, as rigorous as it was and as tough as it was, to just go to the gym and see just me and Trevor in there, or me, Trevor, and Justin in the gym. You know, that was refreshing again, where there's no noise, it's not people on the side watching you, it's not cameras all in your face all the time. It was just us. You know, those are moments that I truly cherish, because one day I'm gonna be an old man and I'm gonna remember those moments of just being in the car by myself, driving to the gym and seeing Trevor's face and having him make a joke and Justin come in and, you know, with his shoulders up that are permanently stuck that way. And you know, his voice just carries through the room. It's when you're living it, you don't truly cherish it, because you're just, you know, you're feeling the pain and the agony of that day. But you know, these are moments that I'm learning to cherish, because this is not going to be forever.
Kamaru, down here to your left again.
Yes.
Down to your left here again. You're talking about these moments not being here forever. Have you sat back and taken stock of your career and what your legacy in the sport will be when you do eventually decide to hang them up?
No, I have not. That's it's funny because, you know, you guys all bring up all these records, and I truly, when I say each fight, when you guys give me a new stat or a new record or something new that I've done, or I didn't know that, you know, and still don't know that till now. The only one that I really remember is you guys, before the last one, that would have been the longest, or tied the longest UFC, was it fights or wins or whatever in a row?
Anderson's record.
Yeah, something like that. That's the only one that I kind of remember. I was like, oh shit, that was, shit, probably shouldn't have told me, you know? But I don't really sit, for me, it's after I get done, it's like, what's next? Okay, you gotta start getting ready for the next one. You gotta start getting ready for the next one. And so now I'm just in a place where I'm more mindful of understanding that this is not forever. And, you know, with the guidance of some of my mentors like Rashad Evans in DC, and they tell me, and especially DC, you know, DC is like, when this shit stops, it stops. And so I just want to enjoy it. I just want to cherish it. So when I am looking back later, you know, and having you guys tell me what I've done in the sport, I can say, oh shit, I guess I did something good.
Come on.
This will be your final question here.
Just a quick one here.
Yes.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on Jorge Masvidal and Gilbert Burns for Miami. How do you think that goes down?
That is a spectacular fight. Spectacular fight. I will be there, hopefully as the first third two-time UFC champion. Wasn't it Matt Hughes, GSP? Did Matt Hughes didn't do it? Yeah, I thought so. So, you know, being there with the greats. So, being as a two-time UFC welterweight champion, I will be there watching. But I think that is a spectacular fight. I think, obviously, we all know Gilbert Burns is grappling. You know, once he gets you down, you know, you're in for some, you know, you're in for some work. And believe it or not, Jorge Masvidal is it's a unique style for a guy to be a kickboxer, stand straight up. He's directly standing straight up, but he's so hard to take down. And I think, you know, that's not going to be as easy as it looks. I think that's a spectacular fight. I will be there front and center as a fan watching because, you know, I don't go to too many more events. So I definitely will be there as a fan watching. And I can't wait to watch that one.
Thank you, Kamaru.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you all.